Charisma Quotient. I'm your host, Kim Seltzer, a dating and makeover expert, where I will help you build confidence, make connections, and find love from the outside in. Do you often ask yourself, why can't I find love? I mean, falling in love with someone can be one of the most amazing feelings that you can experience in your entire life. And it's truly a magical feeling. And it's not surprising that there are countless songs, poems, pieces of literature that all try to capture the elation and thrill of falling head over heels. But the truth is that it's not always as easy as they make it seem in the movies, right? Like even when online dating is literally at our fingertips and it just should be so easy just to swipe to love. And actually, it feels like the harder you try, the further you are from finding a lasting connection. You want love, but just can't seem to find it. Okay, so here's the problem. The real problem is that you may be using the wrong mindset around love. It's using those words, finding love, which has an association of it being a pleasant accident that you just kind of stumbled upon. And you meet someone great, you spend some time with and get to know him or her. And if things align just right, you found love. But true love is what I'm talking about here, is love that has what it takes to last the test of time. And it has to do with creating it. It's malleable, adaptive, ever growing, ever changing, and it's incredibly rare because it takes a great deal of time to develop. You have to be with someone for years to know for sure that what you have isn't just any love, but true love. And ultimately, true love isn't found. It's not stumbled upon, it's not fallen into. True love is created slowly and with great care. I remember when I was working as a matchmaker, people would ask me all the time, Kimmy, find me my soulmate. And now for those of you who don't know this, I worked as a matchmaker and I ran the VIP division for a while. And there was this weird expectation and fallacy that I had some secret society of soulmates hidden in my magic kingdom. And no matter how great the pictures were, and seemingly compatible the matches were, the same patterns kept happening over and over again that were occurring outside my magic kingdom, right? Like what I then started doing in my coaching is that I decided I'd coach these people on the side. And here's what I learned, that the people I coached and that I created a dating plan for and I helped them break patterns with were the ones who were successful. And in fact, would find people outside the magic kingdom on their own. So I now say that you can be your own matchmaker. And they were happy because the empowerment they had from changing within raised their level of confidence to ultimately create love they sought after. So with me today is a dear, dear friend and an amazing expert in the field of love and relationships. And he's been around for a while. I adore him for both men and women. And he's going to help me talk about this very topic around creating love, not finding it. He is the founder and CEO of Kyynder, a curated learning community of men and women committed to creating deeper relationships and authentic connections, an Emmy-nominated executive producer and Stanford Humanities Center research fellow. He has spent the last 15 years teaching, writing, and coaching men and women on how to not find love, but create it consciously and skillfully, choice by choice. So I'm going to bring him on. Adam Gilad. I wish I had like a machine that did like the audience going wild. Are you there?
That'd be nice. I would like that 20 times a day. That would really help, actually.
Right? I would love it. Can you imagine like waking up and just having like a huge audience always clapping for you?
Oh gosh, I feel a little proud of it. Yes.
Oh, hi, friend.
Hi, so good to see you. So many life transitions we've been through together.
I know. And we
Right.
really have been. And I remember like, gosh, the first time we really worked together, you were running these amazing workshops for men and women. And I think
Yeah.
I came and spoke, to some of them.
You spake unto
I
the people.
spake and I spoke in my red dress. I remember you saying, Kim, how did you do so many sales? I said, it's so simple. You just wear a red dress.
That's true. I knew so little back then about those things. Yeah, but we had these big events. We called it Attract, Connect, Inspire, because those are the three steps that I really, as I started coaching and really getting into it, that those are the three skills that people need to learn. They need basic attraction skills, and people, that's what they focus on. But you also have to learn, as you know, to connect deeply with somebody, which takes very particular skills, and we can talk about that. And then ultimately, you have to be inspired, and you have to inspire somebody to, to go, I'm really proud to be with this partner. And for that, you need skills, right? It's like, wow, I really love the way that the way my husband, like, I was so upset last night and I was out of my mind, and he was just so steady, and he was there and he asked me the right questions. Those are skills. It doesn't come naturally. Nobody teaches us these things. And we have to be inspired for our lives, because it's a very competitive world. And if you're not inspired about who you are, why does someone want to be with you? So those are the three things we covered back then. And they're all also key to Kyynder, which we'll get to.
Yeah, no, and I love that. And I do really like that notion of building the skills, and that's part of the creation of love, right? Like you don't just stumble upon it's like there magic. Here's that
Yeah.
person, you
No,
know.
I always say, you don't, people talk about, I mean, this is the thing. People talk about love like, oh yeah, I'm going to find it like coins under a couch cushion.
Yeah,
So
right. Oh
that's
my
not
God,
how it
look, I
works.
found it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you meet somebody, and then you make informed, skilled, considerate, thoughtful decisions minute by minute, day by day, because love, quote unquote, can fall apart if you don't handle things like anger or behavior requests, you know,
Mm.
or handling your triggers and wounds. That's a big one. And these are all skills, and they're learnable skills. So I always say, you don't find love, you create it or you awaken it, choice by choice, and that goes every day. Yeah,
I
and
love
it
that.
never stops. I mean, you build up a credit bank, but you can blow it if you can't handle things, with a certain kind of equanimity, maturity, and skillfulness.
Yeah, I mean, we just jumped in because we're old friends, but I know like some people may not know you. So I want to,
Oh,
I know it may be hard to believe, but just so that everybody gets to know you because you're so awesome. How did you kind of stumble upon not love, but this kind of notion of creating love, not finding it, and now really like focusing on when we're going to get into kinder a little bit, but I just love to hear the backstory of that.
yes, that's a great question. Um, very early on, I got into this whole business, as it were, um, because I got single 21 years ago. And I had never expected that. And I was 39. I got married way too young. I got married young. It's fine. It worked out. But we reached the point where I shouldn't say it because we had two beautiful kids, so it's fine. Um, and I had to enter the world single at 39 for the first time, and I had no idea what to do. I was a dad and I was a husband. That was my identity, and it was terrifying, actually. I didn't know where to go, and I've told the story. I actually wrote about it. That first day when I didn't have my kids at home, the first time, I came out of a meeting on Wilshire, and I stood there for maybe 15, 20 minutes going, where do I go? I don't know where to go. Do I go home? Well, it's not home. I go to a bar, right? Single people go to bars. I'd never really been to a bar. It just wasn't part of my life. Oh, maybe I'll go to Vegas. I'll go to a bookstore. I'll go to a movie. Well, I could do all these things. And I ended up going to driving home along, PCH, and stopping at Vaughn's. And I said, well, I guess I need food. And then I looked at the food and I go, I don't even know what I like to eat. I just eat what she puts in front of me. So it was really like a rebirth. And so I didn't know how to date. I didn't know how to talk to people. I felt embarrassed because the divorce. I felt like a failure in various ways
Mm.
because the family was broken. And that was my frame back then. And slowly I started learning. But what I discovered, that online dating, I didn't know about that. And I'm a writer. I'm a Emmy-nominated writer. I taught writing at Stanford. I worked in comedy, so I have some linguistic skills. And I saw that no one understands how to really communicate with the other gender in a language that the other gender, or one of the many other genders these days, um, really feels in their body. Like oh, wow, this person gets me. They get where I am. So I messed around with that, and somebody saw it. I was on a TV show, if you remember, on ABC, How to Get the Guy. I was the guy. She saw my profile, and then I wrote a book about it, and here we are. So that was the beginning, was around language. And then people would say, like, the first book I wrote, men would write to me going, thank you so much. I'm finally getting dates online. Nobody ever wrote me before. And they said, now how do I date a model? And I'm like, well, why would a model date you? And they go, no, just tell me what to say. And I'm like, that's not really how it works. So that began the whole thing of really developing the skills. And then I just had this insight that people put so much effort into their business life and their career. They know that skills are involved, but for a relationship, damn, man, you need skills. I needed skills. I mean, it's just funny. I happen to have this right next to me for people who might be looking. These are the books I was reading this week. I mean,
Oh my
there's
gosh.
so many skills that I personally need, that everyone needs.
Yes.
And I knew, and I figured out that I learned quickly that I needed skills, and I didn't know anything about attachment theory. I didn't know anything about how to handle triggers. I really didn't know much about trauma.
Mm,
All the things that actually come up in relationship, not to mention the usual smaller things that just smooth relationship. So it's really, it's a set of skills. And I always say it's like a basketball player, you need skills to score, and there's a
100%. And
bunch,
then you need to practice them, right?
and you
Like,
have to practice every
mm,
single day. And so that was actually the birth of Kyynder, which is our platform for men and women to talk to each other in a really intelligent, mature, kind, thoughtful, and skillful way, led by wonderful, beautiful teachers like you.
I know it's such a cool platform. And I think that, going back to the whole notion of skills, like what would you say as you were collecting your books and skills along the way? Like what are some
Mhm.
top skills that people can really hone in on in creating that healthy love?
Oh, it's so great. It's such a great question. The main one is self-awareness, because everything grows out of that.
100%.
Because
Yes.
like we'll say things like, wow, I feel triggered, right? Or wow, that hurts unexpectedly. Um, and then rather than saying you made me feel, or you did this, or you went no. So one of the skills comes from one of my favorite books by Dr. Susan Page. If it's true for you, number two skill of eight skills of couples who thrive, eight essential skills of couples who thrive, is assume goodwill. So often you've been in relationships, someone will say something, you'll get triggered. But if you really believe that the person has goodwill toward you, now you can have the self-awareness, like, okay, where's the goodwill? Where's the hurt behind what just happened? And
Yes.
find that thing. So that kind of self-awareness and taking that wedge of awareness, that pause before you respond, is one. Another great skill. I can go all day, by the way,
Wait
but
a
that's
second.
one.
Before you go on, I have to, no, that is such a good one. And because it's on the tip of my mind, I was just talking with a client about this because and what you're highlighting is so true. Like we come to relationships with a huge suitcase of right of things and experiences and trauma and
Hurt and
hurt.
neuroses. Yes.
Right. And neuroses and all sorts of things. And it's kind of scary in that baggage. But what's interesting is that baggage relates to then how we communicate and perceive situations, right?
Yes.
And so this particular client I was working with, like she perceived an action that her new boyfriend had as rejection. And it was only because she kept being rejected, like over and over again in her past relationships. I said, but you're also basing his action based on your previous past. Have you
Yes.
checked in with him about this action, so to speak? And to her surprise, it was nothing like she thought. But it took for her to communicate that with him to get over that. So, like that awareness piece that you're talking
Yes.
about is huge. So, anyway,
Yes.
I just,
No, it's a great one.
yeah,
And another kind of awareness, just because I love this one, it's so important. And this one takes practice. One of our other presenters in Kyynder, along with you, is Dr. Susan Campbell, who I just adore. She's the only 80-year-old I have a crush on. She's beautiful. She's absolutely beautiful woman and a beautiful soul and wise. And she's she's a therapist and just wonderful. And she and Brad Blanton, who I have a man crush on. He's a good friend who wrote
you have a lot of
Radical Honesty.
crushes.
I do. I
Yeah.
adore people who
Yeah.
have huge hearts, or big brains. So Brad is amazing. So they talk about how Brad says the mind is a bullshit generating machine.
Hmm.
And he says the mind is a terrible thing. Waste it. Don't trust it. So and he's been a therapist for a long time. So there's a great phrase I picked up from them, which is, wow, this just happened. You said this or you did this, and the story I'm making up about that is, oh my God, that is one of the most powerful phrases you can use in a relationship. It takes full responsibility. So it makes you sovereign. You're taking responsibility for your feelings. You're not projecting. who is Susan said that we're walking projectors. We're like, do we just project our inner lives on people's outer selves
Totally.
constantly? And it's a waste because we can't see them for who they are, and we don't deal with our inner shit because we're projecting it on them. So if your partner or date says something and it hurt, you could say, wow, you just said, oh, I'll take the bill. And the story I'm making up about that is that you're pitying me because I don't have as much money or whatever it is.
Hmm.
And it gets the truth out and it takes responsibility. It's my story that you didn't do, you didn't say. When I was married decades ago, I remember we were fighting and she goes, if you loved me, you would know what I was thinking. I'm like, no, if I was a mind reader, no, like
Wait,
tell me.
ladies, I just want you to hear what Adam just said because often women think that men should just know, and the truth
Men know
is
nothing. Men
they
know
know
nothing,
not.
Jon Snow.
Right. And you guys are so simple. Like it does not take much for you to know, but we overcomplicate it.
Right.
So it's just
And
being,
there's a reason.
yeah.
And there's a reason. And I
Right.
really believe the evolutionary biology of this is that women have developed what we call women's intuition, which is actually an integration of the left and right side of the brain. And they pick up social signals better than men generally. There's always
Yeah.
exceptions, but there's a great set of books by the Peace couple, Pease, why men don't talk and why women can't read maps, which is a way of saying that men have evolved 98% of our evolution to hunt, basically, is what we were doing until 12,000 years ago. And when you're hunting, you know what you don't do? Gossip, chatter, chit chat. Whereas women were back with kids, back in the village or foraging, and they talk to keep, bonds together to test who's safe and who's not safe and to know where you are if you're wandering around in bushes, I guess. But they talk and women talk to communicate and rather women talk to bond and men talk to convey necessary information. So men generally don't talk as much, especially about their inner life. And women generally can't read maps because men were wandering around chasing mastodons, right? So we generally have better spatial sense. And it's true. And
It's
not
true.
everyone. And there's always exceptions and all that stuff. But generally, these things, we're very different. So it's good to know these differences. And when you go into a relationship, and I actually
Yeah.
had a girlfriend say to me once, it's all coming back now. Well, a girlfriend said to me, she said something and she said, my girlfriends would never say that. And I said to her, I have news for you. I'm
I,
not one of your
I'm
girlfriends.
not a girlfriend, right?
I mean, if you want to play dress up, we can talk about that. But
Right, right. Do role play. Yeah.
so
Um,
that's what I mean by skills. Like, yeah, to
right.
me today, because people are complex and people are rushed and people are not like they were in the 50s or before that, and you need skills to understand yourself and to understand the other. So I always talk about skills to create love choice by choice by choice.
Right. No, I love those tips. I mean, that self-awareness and being the projector metaphor too is so powerful because
Right?
if you and then on top of it, people are walking projectors with a blindfold on too, on top of it, which is not a
Like
good
your husband.
combination, right? Because
Right.
then only they see within, not even what they're projecting. So
Well, it's so much easier to put your inner turmoil or insecurities onto your partner. Oh, they're doing this to me, rather than to own up
yeah.
to what's actually going on internally.
So with that, I mean, I think it's easy for us as because I mean here we are we teach this stuff we've been on our own journeys with it, but people may know all of this stuff that we're talking about intellectually, but it's another thing to actually do it or practice it. Like, are there some things that you have seen be really successful in helping people like put them into action?
Well, yeah, being involved with there's only one thing, which is being involved with people consciously also trying to do the same thing. So
Yeah.
I've been running men group, women groups, and now with Kyynder, we have men and women in small groups talking to each other. That's the whole idea. If you don't practice, if you're not with a group, it's like anything. If you want to be a better tennis player, you can hang around better tennis players. So you have to
Right.
hang around, and you have to hang around with people who are really interested in improving their skills. And you know what happens? What happens is what I'm finding is that when you get used to hanging out with people who take these things seriously, maturely, your bar starts raising naturally. Because within Kyynder, like within these conversations, we have meetings all week. Meetings, we call them circles, right? But we have circles led by experts like you all week during the week, and especially for the summit. But what happens is that you get used to talking on a different level, and then you go back into the world, and it's like, ugh, this person is so not clue to who they are or how to communicate. They don't have the skills of presence or ease or curiosity. They're you it becomes really clear who's not skilled at relationship. Just like in a workplace, you can tell who's not skilled. So it's nice. So your bar raises and you tend to attract a higher quality of person.
Yeah, right. It's being amongst a higher vibration of people who are in action, right? Because that energy
Yes,
also
I love
feeds
that.
off. That's why I love this Kyynder summit that you built, and also
Oh,
the whole membership. Like everything is
mm,
so brilliant because and it so resonates with me. That's why I'm excited about being a part of it, because it's all about putting you into action. I actually just did a wing gal session in New York
mhm.
let's say, and it was, I have to say it was a little, because it was out of my element. It's been a long time because of the pandemic. And I was like, do I remember the skill? Right. Like even I started thinking about, do I
How to be a
remember
human being.
as a human being the skill? And it is like riding a horse. When you practice it, it becomes imprinted on you, and you really never lose it once you get it. And yeah, by the end of the night, we had men all just swarming around us, and I'm like,
Did you wear the
oh
red
yeah.
dress? Did you wear the red dress?
Actually, my client wore the red top.
Better. Oh,
I'm
better.
like, you rock. You are a good student, because I've been working with her. She knew the drill.
So
But,
funny.
afterwards, it was really funny because she wrote me and she said, I wish I had you with me every day. I cannot believe what happened. I said, thank you. And believe in yourself. You were a part of what made that happen. And I think sometimes, to your point, back what you said before, we always put things outside of ourselves rather than within. And this is the empowerment. This is why I like Kyynder. This is why I like all of this stuff that we're talking about,
Yeah.
creating the love. It's just not happenstance.
No, it's not. And look, I'm married, and it's a daily. We come from different worlds, you know, and it's a daily practice for me, especially to gauge everything that's happening and to consider everything, and to engage in every interaction consciously and not unconsciously. You and I are the same. I said to somebody the other day, Kim, oh yeah, she could be my sister. We grew up in the same community. We have the same everything. Like we just really grew
I
up very
know.
similar. Like we have same everything. We have all. My wife is from the Caribbean. She's a very different culture. Went through way different shit than I did growing up, and so it's a constant learning and being aware and not assuming. Like you and I think we can assume generally what we're thinking, generally, how we react to the world and what our assumptions were, what our families were like, and so it's definitely been a wake up for me, a constant wake up to be aware and to really not assume things, because my life has been
Mm.
relatively very easy, right? Generally, grew up safe in a safe place with a safe, nice family, good education, all that stuff, and things went pretty smoothly. Not everyone gets that. So it's been a particular lesson for me to really engage from a place of humility and curiosity, because the
Yeah.
assumptions aren't there. Like the assumptions, just we have different assumptions about people in the world.
Oh, I'm so glad you highlighted.
Yeah.
That's another skill, by the way, too, that I want people to really get, is the assumption and the prediction side
Ooh,
of things, because it's like how that can really break opportunities too. Even from the minute you say hello, like, I mean, I see it when people are walking in the room and they're assuming that person doesn't want to talk to them, or they're assuming that person is busy, or just because this or that, and it's so in your head,
right.
and then it takes you out of like your ability to be present. So I actually think that's part of creating love, is to really be present, and instead of assuming and predicting, to
Right,
really
right.
just asking,
Super
right?
curious. Yeah, I call curiosity the baking soda of relationships, because it does everything. It takes the place of assumptions, takes the place of anger, takes the place of projections. It actually brings out truth. By the way, can I just interrupt with a really funny little romantic thing here?
Oh, please. That's
I
the
just
best.
realized, do you see this cup I'm holding with my A on it?
Yeah.
So we had met. I read something she read online on a forum. She's a lot of things, but she was also coaching and she had a yoga center, and I was like blown away. I was like, I didn't know who she was. I just wrote to her, "Tell me you're a real person," and we started talking. I didn't know what she looked like, and because I was so moved by her words, and then we got on the phone. She was teaching in Belize at the time, yoga, and she was really funny. And then I saw her picture, and I'm like, I called her right back, and I said, hey, if I sent you a ticket, would you come to Los Angeles? I really need to meet you, or I'll come to you. I really want to meet you. You're unusual. And she was coming to the States anyway to teach. So the night before she came, I went out and bought mugs with our initials, one for each of us. I've never done that, but I had such a strong
Oh,
intuition. I know it's like sounds really romantic, right? But it was like it was an intuition I had. And I realize I'm holding this mug. I'm showing it if you can see the video.
yeah.
Anyway, so
That
that's kind
is
of
really cute. Oh my gosh, I love
right.
that.
It was
Yeah.
like, and that's my other big word in my work with men, especially, and women, is boldness. Like if you have a desire, you have a need, state it. Don't hide, don't play. Like really let the world know, like, hey, this is something I need, this is something I desire, without putting it on, again, without projecting a response on the other person. Just get it out there in truth and with clarity.
Oh my God. And that relates to like being present, by the way, like the boldness. And by the way, I think that's super important for women as well, is to not
Yeah.
hesitate. It's like, and just go after what you want. Like you like something, you say something. It goes back to the curiosity piece and also like how kids are. I love kids because they don't have the filters yet, right? They see
Right.
something they like, they're like, I want that. What are you doing?
I know. What's
And
that thing on your face? So someone had a friend who had a
yeah.
mole on his face, and I said, "What's that thing on your face?" Or I remember someone gave him a gift, and when he was like 5, and he goes, "But that's not what I want." You know,
Oh,
and
oh
he's
my
very
God.
direct.
Why can't we do that? But that's not what I want.
But he wasn't complaining. He was just stating the
Right.
obvious fact.
He was just
Yeah,
saying what he wants, that it
yeah.
wasn't what he wants. Right.
Oh, that child we used to call the truth teller, because
Oh,
he
that's
he
so cute.
really just was so keyed into truth. And by the way, now he's the data scientist at Hinge, the dating app. So
Bam. I love it. So just y'all say, but that's not what I want. Yeah, that's
right.
great.
But it comes also to things like, I had a big I did a conversation, a podcast yesterday, and the woman asked the big question: when does a woman bring up kids in marriage? Or well, and
Oh
that's always,
God.
and there's
Yeah.
a way to do that skillfully. Again, there
Mhm.
are ways, these are communication techniques that we learn to make things go down with sugar, to make sure it doesn't seem like a threat or a challenge, and just a fair, honest question, right?
Yes, yes. Well, I love all the skill building and talks that we're doing. We could obviously go on and on, but why not like take the party over to Kyynder and continue this
Yes,
conversation? So I'd
I
love for
agree.
you to kind of share a little bit more about Kyynder, and then we'll wrap up if any words of wisdom that you want to leave everyone with.
The words of foolishness. Okay, well, if you're listening to this before September 28th through October 3rd of 2021, come join us at the summit. We've got 30 amazing experts, Kim being among the main ones, and it's kinder.com/Seltzer, right? Kim's last name, Seltzer, and it's Kyynder, Kyndr, because that's a really cool spelling. We called it Kyynder because we want people to be kinder, but we don't want to sound like Kinder, because Kinder means kids in in German. So it's Kyynder,
And not
Kyn.
to be confused with Tinder, right? Yeah.
That's it, right? But to bring it to mind, right?
Yep.
Or Grinder, but kyndr.com/Seltzer. And so what we have is we have 30 amazing leaders, and unlike other summits, this is live. So it's live. So we'll be live together, men and women, or other genders today, whatever gender you may be, but men and women, live in with you guys. And we'll have breakout sessions so you can meet each other during the session. So Kim will give you 2 provocative questions, and you'll have 2 5-minute breakout sessions where you can talk about it. So this is the whole principle of Kyynder. We do this all week long, all year long. We have leaders, and we have questions, and we have breakouts so you can meet each other. And then at the end of every day, after the sessions, we have an online cocktail party where the games,
Woohoo.
and we'll have little round robin, small groups, people to meet each other. And that's really fun. So it'll be 6 days. And if you're hearing this after October 3rd, you can still use Kim's link to try out Kyynder anyway during the year, and just join. It's great. It's really super fun. And I have to say, we've been running it in beta for a couple months, and we have our first couple, which was
Yay.
what do you call, is a bonus benefit. It's not a dating site per se, but obviously people who are serious about dating with depth and having relationships are going to meet there. So
Mhm.
he just flew to Florida. I just saw the picture, and they're actually 2 of my favorite people ever in the group, and I love them, and I think there's a lot of hope there. So anyway, so you come in not to necessarily find your partner, but you know what they're calling each other? each other's wing brothers and wing sisters. So even if you're not a
Mm,
if even if you're not a partner for somebody, they say, I know somebody good for you, because they know each other. You get to know each other
yes.
through all these circles. Yeah. And they help
Yes.
each other out, which is beautiful.
That's what's so brilliant about it because it's building community on top of everything. Like it's building skills, it's building community. People hopefully will learn a thing or two along the
Oh,
way.
they
So,
will learn. Last week we had a session, and we have different coaches teaching different, leading, not teaching, but teaching and leading. And there was a guy who's a professor, a very accomplished professor and very academic. Da, 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 da. And we go around at the end, what's your biggest aha? And he just broke into tears, and he says, "You know what my biggest aha today was? I love everybody here." And I like even saying I'm getting
oh,
choked up because he went through divorce and all that stuff, and I actually have tears in my eyes, because it just overwhelmed him, because he realized how much he loved having great conversations about the real things in life in an atmosphere of kindness. And that was, wow, look at that. I'm a big softy underneath it all, but to have these conversations about what's real without posturing or posing or guarding yourselves, and we really work hard to create that community of kindness and support. So
well, and it's so apparent that it's coming from the heart, and that's the best kind.
yes,
So thank you so much for having me be a part of it too. And I'm
I'm
super
honored.
excited to just share it with the world. So,
Yes,
Adam, I love you.
I do
I
too, very much.
will continue on at the summit and our friendship, of course. So thank you again.
Come over for wine.
Yay, bread and butter. And so thanks for joining me today. If you're listening to this has been the Charisma Quotient. I'm your host, of course, Kimmy Seltzer. And remember, you can build confidence, make connections, and find love from the outside in. And if you want to know more, make sure you go to my site, kimmyseltzer.com. And if you are frustrated with not creating the love you deserve, creating, not finding, but creating the love you deserve, you can do two things. Number one, sign up for Adam's Incredible Kyynder Summit beginning September 28th, which I'll be speaking at. And yes, I'll probably be talking about flirting, y'all. You know how I roll. And then you can also click the link that you see in the show notes to sign up for that. Or number two, hop on a call with me to map out a strategy so that I can help you in a more personal way. And remember, working on you is working on your dating life. That's all for now.